Can you use another company's CVOR? What a great question. I didn't come up with it. You did. One of my viewers and listeners came up with this question, and it's awesome because it's really, really complicated. Let's get right into it. Can I use another person's CVOR or can you use another person's CVOR? And the short answer, there's really kind of two answers, I guess. The one that you would like and the one that you wouldn't like. Can you rent a CVR from another company? And could you loan your CVR to your buddy so that they can do work for you? So these are all the different questions or the ways to answer whether you could operate legally under somebody else's CVR. And the short answer, the simple one, is no. The MTO really doesn't want you to use somebody else's CVR because if that person loans you their CVR, they are still responsible for all the things that you and your drivers might do to that CVR. So if you have a crash or if you get tickets, it all goes on to that CVR. In other words, you could really ruin that CVR's rating. So but the long answer is yes, you actually can borrow somebody else's CVR. Here's what MTO had to say about it. The name on the CVR certificate should match the ownership of the license plates for the vehicle to afford coverage under that CVR. So what does that really mean? Here's an example of an ownership. If you're not familiar with the ownership, it actually has two halves. This is the left-hand side right here, and you can see the arrow points out that this is the vehicle portion. So this is who actually owns the truck. It could be you, it could be your company, it could be a lease from, one of the leasing companies. That's what would show up there. And on the other half, you see here with the arrow, it is the plate portion. So technically, these two halves of the CVR could be, and frankly are, often different. The vehicle holder or the owner is on the left, the plate owner is on the right. Many companies, for example, set themselves up where assets are owned by one corporation, but they are rented or leased to a different corporation. And so that's what would happen here. In the case of borrowing a CVOR, as you can see there, you could own the truck, but the right-hand portion, the plate portion of the ownership, should be the CVOR holder. And then here's what more the MTO had to say. There are some exceptions, of course, including rental vehicles and lease agreements. So sometimes when you rent a vehicle from a rental company, you don't actually, the CVR holder doesn't own the plate in that case usually, if it's a short-term rental. The relationship, this is key. The relationship is only valid if the company using the CVR is doing work directly for the CVR holder. The emphasis on the word directly is mine, but let's read that again to make sure that you understand it. The relationship is only valid if the company is using the CVR is doing work directly for the CVR holder. So if you think of company A is the CVR holder and you being company B, you can only work directly for company A and move their products. And there has to be a lease agreement between company A and company B outlining this. And so you may want to get a lawyer involved for that. Company B cannot operate independently. This is directly from the email that I received from MTO. Company B cannot operate independently, delivering their own products or for contracts with other companies while under the authorization of Company A. So this says it quite clearly. Company B can only work and only move freight for the CVR holder. So can you borrow a CVR? No, the MTO really hates that. but maybe, and you've got to think about who owns the plate. You got to have a lease agreement, and you can only work directly for that CVOR holder. All right, my name's Chris Harris. I own CVOR.ca. If you've got other questions, that was such a great question. If you have more, please reach out and let me help. All right, Chris Harris, Safety Dog. I'm out of here.